Wuthering Waves versions 3.5 through 3.7 just got blown wide open, and the kits we are looking at will fundamentally shift your entire account's meta. We are looking at a dual-form Havoc DPS completely rethinking rotation execution, a Glacio support dictating the negative status archetype, and a literal Sentinel Resonator shaking up the Electro roster. Today, I am breaking down the mechanical realities behind the upcoming drip marketing, the exact team synergy locks, and precisely who is actually worth your strike. I promise you by the end of this video you will have a definitive, honest conclusion on which banners are absolute skips. But before we get into the heavy math, if you are preparing for any of these upcoming banners, you need to stop paying retail price. Save up to 24% on your top-ups using Loot Bar. It's a solid way to save money. For example, the 6,480 Lunites pack costs around $76 on Loot Bar compared to $100 in-game. The top-up process is very straightforward. Just pick your pack, log in through their single-use cloud device, redeem it in-game exactly like the official store, and then log out. Loot Bar is widely used and has tens of thousands of reviews on Trustpilot, making it one of the most trusted platforms for in-game top-ups. Link to Loot Bar is in the description. Alright, let's get straight into the character dominating the conversation right now, Yang SP, also known as Yuan Ling, who is currently slated for version 3.5 Phase 1. To be completely transparent, this next part regarding her kit is pure leak territory, so understand that scaling numbers and mechanics are still actively shifting in development. But if the early data holds, she is shaping up to be one of the most mechanically demanding Havoc DPS characters we have seen. She reportedly features a true dual-form mechanic that goes far beyond a simple visual swap or temporary damage buff. We are talking about a fundamental shift in her baseline combat loop. Her visual appearance changes drastically, complete with mysterious neck markings that spread across her model upon transformation. Mechanically, the leaks point toward enhanced Rising Dragon attacks, heavily modified charged attack variations, intricate weapon switching properties, and direct interactions with a system called Havoc Bane. This is not just about spamming a basic attack sequence. A kit with weapon switching and specific charged attack variations implies massive front-loaded damage that is highly dependent on precise animation canceling. If you miss your timing on the Rising Dragon juggle, or fail to manage your Havoc Bane resource effectively, your DPS output is going to fall off a cliff. And here is where we need to look at the rumored team composition. The community is already pointing to a core lineup of Yang, Sui, and Chixia. This gives me serious pause. This is my honest value caveat for you. If her optimal team relies on an unreleased support and a specific 4-star, her baseline synergy is incredibly locked. She might be a pure luxury pull. If you do not have the Concerto energy generation down perfectly, she might feel incredibly clunky compared to hyper carries who just need a standard universal buffer. Speaking of Sui, she is expected to follow right after in version 3.5 Phase 2. Here is what is officially locked in versus what is still actively shifting. We know she is a Glacio rectifier, but the leaks heavily suggest she is a support strictly designed and around negative status teams. The moment this leaked, everyone immediately thought of pairing her with Hiyuki and Lucilla. But let's look at the mechanical reality of negative status supports. In gacha games, characters designed to amplify debuffs or interact with negative statuses generally suffer from extreme niche dependency. We still do not know if her support capabilities provide universal elemental penetration, or if her buffs only trigger against enemies actively suffering from specific debuffs. If it is the latter, and beta testing reveals she is strictly meant for one very specific archetype, her pull value plummets for general accounts. You are essentially pulling a highly specialized key for a lock you might not even own. That being said, from a pure lore and account aesthetic standpoint, the rumor that Sui and Yang SP will share unique intro and outro voice lines is a fantastic touch. Just do not let cool voice acting bait you into draining your Astrite if her kit does not naturally fit your existing roster. Now, before we get into the crazy stance-shifting mechanics of Chang Xiao, I want to take a quick second to ask you guys to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing hard for a milestone, and to celebrate, I will be doing a massive Lunite subscription giveaway once we hit 300 subscribers. If you want to enter, all you have to do is be subscribed, and then comment your in-game UID down below, along with your answer to this question. Out of all the upcoming versions we are discussing today, which specific character's design has impressed you the most? Drop your UID in your answer, and you are entered to win the Lunite sub. Moving into version 3.6, Phase 1 brings us Chang Xiao. Let's bypass the visual hype for a second and look at the engine under the hood. She is positioned as an arrow main DPS wielding a dual-form sword and broadsword. The leaks outline a sword immortal form where she physically flies on her weapon, utilizing heavy attack mechanics to unlock enhanced combat states. The data mentions visual effects labeled as floating myriad swords and myriad swords returning to origin. Mechanically, this terminology usually translates to off-field coordinated attacks, transitioning into a massive on-field burst multiplier. It is very clear that Kuro has shifted their design philosophy. We are seeing a distinct pattern of characters operating with dual forms and multiple combat states, basically functioning as two characters in one unit. If Chang Xiao's heavy attacks dictate her stance shifts, her stamina consumption is going to be the absolute bottleneck of her entire kit. You will likely need to micromanage her stamina gauge precisely, ensuring you have enough to trigger the myriad sword state without leaving her completely vulnerable to boss combos. If you are a player who struggles with stamina management and dodge timings, this heavy attack focus might feel punishing. Then in Phase 2 of version 3.6, we get Jing Ren, a fusion broadsword user. Every male character release is a massive event for the community since they are so incredibly rare, but let's break down his actual mechanical value. Jing Ren is heavily rumored to be an HP scaling main DPS with a shield-focused playstyle. His core loop relies on yin-yang themed dual forms that empower his heavy attacks. His Resonance Liberation is said to summon a massive ghost gate, complete with unique background music specifically tied to his ultimate, very similar to how Chikana's Resonance Liberation alters the audio landscape. It sounds incredible, but we need to address the massive elephant in the room regarding HP scaling DPS units. Because his damage multipliers scale off health rather than standard attack stats, nearly every traditional attack buffer on your account is rendered completely useless for him. His team building is going to be extraordinarily rigid. If you do not have supports that can shred fusion resistance or amplify heavy attack damage directly, Jing Ren is going to severely underperform. The shield focus also implies he might trade raw burst damage for on-field survivability, meaning his clear times in the Tower of Adversity might be substantially slower than a pure glass cannon setup. Be very careful before investing here if your account lacks universal damage amplifiers. Looking further ahead to version 3.7, we have H-Sign, an Electro Rectifier. What you need to know immediately is that she is reportedly the next Sentinel Resonator. However, early beta whispers suggest she does not function as a traditional main DPS, especially at baseline S0R1. This is the biggest warning flag of the entire leak cycle. If a literal Sentinel requires their signature weapon and sequence nodes to operate as a primary carry, that is a brutal premium tax on free-to-play accounts. The leaks specifically name Electro Rover as one of her key teammates. While it is great that a free unit has synergy, it forces us to ask if Kuro is designing Aichin to be an energy battery or an off-field sub-DPS rather than a hyper carry. If you are expecting an Electro Nuke at zero investment, you need to temper your expectations immediately. You will likely be slotting her into an enabler role to funnel energy or provide electro application for a different main DPS. Finally, Sume rounds out version 3.7 Phase 2 as a Havoc Rectifier. The current data paints her strictly as a third-slot role. She is not here to redefine the meta or power creep your existing established carries. She will likely function as a quick-swap rotation smoother. And honestly, a low field time unit that just drops buffs and gets out of the way is incredibly valuable for account longevity. Units that do not demand massive field time are usually the ones that survive meta shifts the longest. So here is the definitive conclusion I promised you at the start. If you are strictly free-to-play, Sui Sui and Jing Ren are incredibly high-risk pulls right now due to their severe archetype and stat scaling limitations. Chang Xiao offers the highest potential for mechanical outplay with her arrow dual forms, while Yang Yang SP is going to require flawless combo execution and perfect stamina routing to justify her field time. If you want the safest bet for long-term account value, Hsin operating as an off-field sentinel enabler or Sume smoothing out your quick-swap rotations will likely age much better than the hyper carries. Do not pull on hype alone, pull on mathematical synergy and mechanical reality. Make sure you get those UIDs in the comments for the giveaway. Stay optimized, and I will see you in the next one.